So most people think it takes forever to get into commercial real estate and build a portfolio, which I used to think that too. But we bought 9 buildings in the last 18 months. And today I'm going to talk you through how we did that and also bring you on a day in the life. So if you guys are new here, my name is Graham Story. I'm a commercial broker. I've been in brokerage for about 7 years. I waited about 5.5 years until I actually bought my first building. But a little over a year ago, we bought our first building, and it's been kind of a crazy run since then. So this is the second channel I've started. I have a podcast channel where we interview all kinds of people with big portfolios, small portfolios, just getting started. They've been in it for forever. So if you're interested in learning about how to buy your first commercial deal, definitely check out the podcast channel, and hopefully you can find a lot of good information there. I met Jesse around 8 o'clock this morning, got in the car, it's got my Uber here. We went and showed 2 different buildings, people Jesse had been communicating with through Facebook Marketplace. Pro tip, if you're trying to lease a building, Facebook Marketplace is the way to go. One of the buildings is one we have under contract, it's a 5-unit, and the other one is another building we're just doing brokerage for. So we did that. Now we're here meeting one of the owners who we've actually bought 2 buildings from at this point. He wanted to show us this building that he's got. He just renovated it. He wanted to see if we had any tenants for it because we do brokerage on the side, but we just pulled up, looks really good. He redid a whole bunch of stuff. It was a huge building. It was like 66,000 square feet. It was in complete disrepair, needed a whole bunch of work. He painted the other side of it, painted the gutters, and now we're waiting to meet him and see what he wants for the rental rate and see if we can help him find a tenant. So to give you a little context on how we bought all these buildings in such a short amount of time, it started a little over a year ago. So right now I'm filming this in February of 2026, September of 2024. We bought our first building. It was a small 6,000 square foot building, and we bought that one. At the same time, we're in the process of buying a 18,000 square foot building. We closed that one, I believe, in December. So we closed those 2 about a month apart, and we closed those were our first commercial deals. We closed them basically at the same time. Both of them were empty when we bought them, so it's definitely nerve-wracking, very stressful time period, but we used a couple different strategies. After that, actually it was around the same time, it was actually between then. So we closed one in September, then November, we had a property, 4 properties. It was a portfolio of 4 properties that we had under contract as well. So at the same time, we had 6 buildings under contract, 5 of which were from the same owner. All of them were industrial buildings, and they were all within like a mile radius. So in September, we bought our first 6,000 square foot one. We did that just me and Jesse and one other partner. And then the other 4 we bought with the company we work for. We have the ability to basically buy buildings with them and get a little bit of equity. And then the other one, I 1031'd into. So I'm gonna break down each strategy and how we did it, but that was the first 6 we bought. So we bought the first 6 in the Q4 of 2024, which is wild. Then in 2025, we actually kind of had, I'm not gonna say we had a dry run, but we didn't close any buildings. We just closed one. So we closed one building in the middle of the summer. I believe it was July. It was a 10,000 square foot one. That was a great building. And then fast forward to this month, February, by the time this releases in March or so, we will have closed the other 2 buildings. One of them is a 5-unit in the High Point Triad area, and the other one is it's a single tenant building, but right now it's 2 tenants, and it can be broken as long as we get a sub-meter. So that's kind of the run we went on since Q4 of 2024 up until now. And now I'm about to walk you through how we did each one. All right, so the first building we bought was a 6,000 square foot industrial building. Had about 1,000 square feet of office and about 5,000 square feet of warehouse. Really, it was not the greatest condition, but in terms of size and functionality, that's a great size for any business owner to come in and operate whatever they may need, whether it's like, plumbing, HVAC, distribution, whatever it is. A small bite-sized 6,000 square foot building in an industrial world, that's a pretty small building. So we put that one under contract. And the way we took that down was we had me, Jesse, and one partner. So we bought the building for $250,000. So we only needed to raise about 60 grand plus a little bit for the extra work we needed to do. So we raised $70,000 for that building and gave up 50% of the ownership. So that's how we bought the building number 1. That's one strategy you can use when you're just getting started. Obviously, you need to know what you're doing. I have good knowledge in commercial real estate because I've been in brokerage for 5 years. So I wouldn't just go out and do your first deal by yourself. If not, I'll explain what you should do in a later strategy. But if you have a little bit of experience, all you have to do is just go find a good opportunity. And there's a saying that if you find a good deal, money will come. And in this sense, we found a good opportunity. We bought it. We had to put up about, like I said, roughly $70,000. I promise you anybody can raise $70,000. Might sound intimidating at first, but it's not that much money in the commercial world. People do it in residential all the time, and commercial is way better. So to give you a summary of what happened with that deal, we bought it, had a tenant in there. He started getting behind on his rent. We kicked him out, put a new tenant in. That tenant has an option to purchase the property. He pays on time every time, and he's got an option to purchase the property for $410. So that one deal in just over a year, we could sell, which we're likely going to sometime this year whenever he executes this option. He's told us he wants to, for $410, and we bought it for $250. So that's a pretty big spread on a little small deal. That's why we love commercial. All right, technically in the timeline order, we bought that first 6,000 square foot building. Right after that, we bought the 4 building portfolio. That one was 4 different buildings, like I said. And we work with a company where they offer, hey, if you find us a good deal and you bring the property and then you do the management, the leasing, everything else, then you can get ownership in that deal. So we did that with that one, and we didn't have to come out of pocket at all for that. So that's option number 2 for finding deals. you can go find a really good deal, find someone that needs help managing or running a deal, but somebody who doesn't want to run a deal or manage a deal. Maybe it's just someone who wants to find a deal and they have the capital to invest. There's a lot of people who have a lot of money and maybe they have the expertise and knowledge, but they're tired, they don't want to do the grunt work, they don't want to do the running around. So what you can do is if you've never done a deal before and you need experience, you can offer to go out and find deals and then in exchange get equity for that. So that's what we did on those 4 buildings. It was a portfolio. We got a little bit of equity each in that building, in those 4 buildings. And so we didn't have to bring any money out of pocket. So far, those 5 buildings, we brought no money out of pocket. In the middle of stabilizing those, 3 of them are leased. One of our tenants just went out, unfortunately. Apparently they were doing something illegal. We didn't know that. We vetted them, but apparently not enough. And that's just the reality of commercial real estate. Sometimes you get a tenant where they don't pay. It's not as common in residential, but you can definitely get a tenant who doesn't pay or gets into trouble, whatever it may be. So we have 2 of those are vacant. Once we fully stabilize those, we bought it for about $1.2 million. Another seller financing deal. So we did seller financing on that one. The first building I mentioned before, the 6,000 square foot one, we would use the bank for that. But then the second properties we bought, so the 4 unit or 4 building portfolio, that was all 100% seller financing. So we bought it for, or not 100%, but we used seller financing. We put 10% down, 25-year AM, 5.5% interest from a seller. And that one we're in the middle of stabilizing. We bought it for $1.2 million. By the time we get these buildings filled, which has proven to be more difficult than we thought, it's a learning lesson. By the time we get them filled, it should be worth around, I'd say on the low end, 1.8, on the high end, 2 million, maybe 2.1. So that's a big spread as well. We don't owe as much equity in that because we didn't bring any money, but that was our second deal. And that's how you could do it. If you want to go out, find a deal, bring the property, bring the opportunity, say you're going to run it, say you're going to manage it, and in exchange, you can get a little bit of equity. So the third deal we bought, which was technically the 6th building because we bought 1, then we bought the package of 4, and now we bought this 6th one. We used what's called hard money. A lot of people are familiar with this in the residential world. So if you're watching this and you've done residential real estate, we basically used the BRRRR method. So we bought, we found a property. Actually, the guy we're about to meet now and show us this building, he sold it to us. He seller financed 75% of the deal. We got 25% of the other funds from hard money. So that hard money note, since there was seller financing, it had to be in second position. And what that means basically is if you are a seller and you're doing seller financing, then you're acting as the bank. So they would be in first position to where if we didn't pay, they would get the property. Second position means if we didn't pay, well, the seller has first right to get the money, and then the person who lended us the hard money has second position. So it's definitely a little riskier. For that, you're gonna pay more money. So we got 25% of the funds as hard money. We bought the building for $450, worked out to be approximately, but it wasn't exact numbers, like $120,000 we borrowed at 12% interest rate for a 6-month period. And so what we did is we bought it with no money out of pocket at all. We actually got a check back closing for like $2,000. And then we went to go lease the building. Well, it turns out the tenant who was there, we were gonna make their rent go up quite a bit. Unfortunately, we had to because of the economics of refinancing. There's a certain limit that you have to hit above the debt service. So basically if you wanted, this is called a DCR, debt coverage ratio. So basically if our mortgage payment's $1,000, you have to be 1.2 times above that. So our rent would have to be $1,200. So long story short, in this scenario, we had to bring up the rent quite a bit because they had been there for a long time. They were paying way under market. We thought they were going to leave. We told them, hey, we don't like doing this, but the rent up to market rate so that we can refinance this building. And turns out they wanted to stay. So they stayed there. We signed a new lease with them. We refinanced out the hard money and we refinanced out the seller with the traditional bank note. Now we own that building 100%, just me and Jesse, and we have one other partner who we work on stuff with. But yeah, so we were able to buy that building with no money out of pocket. So that's how we did our third deal with no money out of pocket. Like I said, just about anybody can do that as well. All you need is a really good deal and then somebody who's willing to give you hard money. As I went from building 1 to the package of 4, which is building 5, building 6, I skipped one in between. So the one I just mentioned actually would be building 7. Building 6, we closed in December of 2024. And that one we did by doing what's called a 1031 exchange. So basically I had a residential property. I'd owned it for a couple of years and I ended up selling to my tenant. I took the proceeds of that, which was about $100,000, and I turned around and I rolled that into this next building. We got another building. It was 18,000 square feet. We got same term. So it actually was the same seller as the 4 deal package. So we put down 10%. He financed it for 5.5% interest over 25 years. We still own that building. We've got a tenant in there. They're a good tenant and it's a good building. We love that building. So plan with that one is long-term hold, but I understand a lot of people watching might not have, a building they can sell and do 1031 exchange for. But if you do have a residential property and you're working on transitioning from residential to commercial, you can always sell one of your residential properties, do a 1031 and roll it into a commercial building like we did. So that's how we did that one. And in a second, I'll tell you about the next 2. We're about to go on like a 5-property tour. So the one we're about to drive now is one that we got sent by a broker off market, coming to market next week. Industrial building, about 7,000 feet in Greensboro area. Very excited to see it. After that, we're driving to we don't do storage, but Jesse found a small 5,000 square foot storage facility. It looks more like small bay. It's got like 10 units, so very small. Each one's 500 square feet. And that guy also owns a small bay flex park. So we're driving there, which is in the Winston area. After that, we're going to another small bay flex that's on the market to take a look at it. It's also in Winston. After that, we're going to Kernersville for another small bay flex deal. Surprise, we like small bay flex deals. So we're trying to find. And then after that, I'm going to tour a potential listing I'm going to get. It's a 13,000 square foot industrial building for lease. So that's where we're headed right now. We just cruised down the street to this storage facility we're looking at, and there's a bunch of multi-tenant industrial stuff. Well, that's not too clean, but buildings that are the type of buildings that we absolutely love. Most people probably don't see these metal type of buildings and get super excited with bay doors and body shops and metal sides, but man. So this is one of the buildings we're looking at. The guy owns this building. It's a storage facility, plus another 2 buildings further away, like probably, 30 minutes away maybe. We don't want to spend too much time here because this is where people are storing stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. We love this kind of stuff. Metal building with the roll-up doors. This is technically storage. We thought it was maybe small bay where there was going to be a door and more like shop space, but this is purely just garage. All right, so we just pulled up to the Winston-Salem Small Bay Flex building. It's pretty good. I mean, it's a little rough for sure, but the building itself, I mean, it's got a lot of potential. Anyways, there's a lot of bays, really nice looking. It's got low rents. You come in, take them to triple net, bring them to market rate, and you could flip it. You could do whatever you wanted to, but we like this building a lot, so excited. So one pro tip that we've learned over the last couple of years in buying real estate is that, it's cheesy. You hear location, 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 which is so true. But the biggest reason why it's true is if you're buying a building for an investment, the location matters so much because the better the location, the easier it is going to be to lease the property. I know that sounds super obvious, but if you think, oh man, this is a great building. Let's say you have the best building ever, but it's like a little bit outside of town, not the greatest location, and you still get it for a steal. Okay, that's awesome. But how long is it gonna take you to lease up? It's gonna take you a long time to lease that property up. So it might be worth paying a little bit more money for a much better location to lease the property faster, because at the end of the day, commercial real estate is all valued on the income. So if you have an empty building, it's not valued for crap. So this location seems to be solid. We don't know this area as well as our stomping grounds like High Point area, but it's close to an airport, a lot of good tenants up and down the street. So, all right, so now I want to talk about the 2 deals we have under contract. So I said we bought 9 and 18 months. By the time this video comes out, we will have likely closed those other 2, so it'll total 9. We bought 7 to this point. So the 2 that we have under contract that will be closed, one of them is a 17,400 square foot building. It's got 2 tenants in it, and we're under contract. We're set to close March, beginning of March. Like I said, this is towards the beginning of February right now. And yeah, so we are working on that one. How we're buying that one is we're selling the first property Jess and I ever bought, which is a duplex, residential duplex. We bought it, we held it for almost 4 years at this point. We're selling it, we're taking the proceeds, we're rolling into that deal. It's another metal building. I'll throw up some drone footage of it. It's absolutely beautiful. And then the other building we're closing is we're doing like we did with the 4-unit portfolio we bought. We're buying it with the company we work with. So we'll get some equity in that deal. Man, it is a perfect deal. I think it's a deal. People talk about how you can do one deal one time, change your life forever. I think this is one of those deals, or at least it would be if we had more equity, have a good amount of equity in it. But basically we're buying it for 1.1 million, seller financing. And by the time we stabilize it, it's gonna be worth probably 2.25 million. So we're gonna take the value from 1.1 million up to 2.2 in a matter of pretty quickly, actually. So when we bought it, half of it was empty and the people were vacating. We got the ability to lease it during the due diligence period. We've already got half of it leased, released already at higher rental rates in the exam period. So we've already increased the value. Like when we close on it day 1, it's gonna be worth substantially more than we're buying it for. So that's 2 ways. One, selling our residential property. We bought the other one I mentioned. And then this one we're buying with the company we work with. What I want to talk about is the importance of building relationships with sellers and finding seller financing. So out of those 9 buildings, 2 of them came from the same gentleman. We'll call him seller number 1. So 2 came from one seller, and then 6 came from the other seller. So we're gonna have bought 8 buildings from 2 people. And then the last one was just a one-off we bought. So, and 8 out of those 9 were seller financing deals. So if you can find an older guy who wants to retire and want to sell their building, they don't be worrying about management, maintenance, all that stuff. You can get in early with them and you can build a relationship, and then you can ask for seller financing. You say, hey, look, I'll take it over. I'll give you payments. You're gonna get the same cash flow, but it's even better. Then that's how you do it. And that's how you pick up a portfolio. And that's been a big part of our success so far.